call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Let's go. I'm about to go off like a weapon. Fuel to the top, got a filled up engine. In my thoughts obsession, I will not stop, no I'm never second.
Welcome back, everybody. Hit that like, hit that subscribe if you like this video. Now today we're gonna just compare, honestly. I mean, we have a whole bunch of these different people out there. They're kind of talking all this stuff about quarterbacks, and I just wanted to take the time to kind of just factually compare Tua Tagovailoa to all the other quarterbacks that we wanted to talk about. So we're just gonna dive right into it. Everybody knows, first in QBR, Tua Tagovailoa. 6 games missed, he is 12th in yards, with 25 and 8 interceptions. Those are pretty great numbers. The first stat that we're gonna talk about is, honestly, people want to sit there and go Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and who else? Who else is on this team? I mean, it's so funny that you want to label someone great when it comes to receivers. So Joe Burrow has Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Hayden Hurst, Joe Mixon. But no, it's not the receivers for that guy. It's just he's purely talented, even though he throws interception all the time. Not saying that Joe Burrow is a bad quarterback. I love Joe Burrow. He's an amazing quarterback. But yeah, you put weapons around him, quarterback plays well. He has more weapons than Tua Tagovailoa. And we don't have anything to say about him. Second one, Aaron Rodgers. Christian Watson. I know he dropped passes in the beginning of the year, but you know what? At the end of the year, we started to see kind of how much of a stud that guy is. Romeo Dobbs, Aaron Jones. You also have the other running back, I'm forgetting his name, but same amount of weapons as well, just like he did. And he still had his own guy with the blue-eyed dude. I forgot his name too. You got weapons there. Tom Brady. You got Mike Evans. You have Chris Godwin. You have Cameron Brate. You have Rashad White. You have Leonard Fournette. He has weapons there. Both Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are 1,000-yard receivers. You have weapons. You know, we're trying to compare Tom Brady, and everybody in the comments of my last couple videos is saying, how can you even compare? Listen, the legacy of Tom Brady, I'm not saying that Tom Brady isn't the greatest of all time. Of course I'm saying that. I mean, I'm a Dolphins fan, and I believe that Tom Brady is the greatest of all time. Right now, though, I don't think talent-wise that he is better than Tua Tagovailoa. And the stats and the facts just prove it. People want to sit there and come up with all these excuses why he didn't do good. He had plenty of receivers. He had the same type of offensive line that Tua had. It's just he didn't put up the same numbers. And it's just, that just has to do with the talent level and the ceiling that Tom Brady can hit right now versus what Tua can hit. Talk about the offensive line, because, you know, a lot of people want to underestimate, honestly, what an offensive line does for people. Now, Jalen Hurts, love that he's doing great, but the guy has the best offensive line in the NFL. And you can't naysay the amount of time that you have to throw the ball and how that makes you look better. Josh Allen, for a long time, had a great offensive line. Now his offensive line is starting to kind of unfold, and you see he's not doing the same things he used to. Yes, great quarterback, but he can't do the same things that he used to because in the past, the offensive line was saving his butt. They would block for 10 minutes for him to throw the ball. Same thing with Jalen Hurts. And as you saw in the beginning of the 49ers game, when that offensive line starts to crumble, Jalen Hurts really doesn't know what to do. So right now, the 3 quarterbacks I think that everybody wants to sit here and, you know, I think it's kind of proven that they're not coming to Miami, but Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, Lamar Jackson, and Tom Brady. Now, Tom Brady basically has the same exact offensive line percentages that Tua Tagovailoa has. So for run blocking, they both have 71st. For pass blocking, they both have 55%. Now, the 71st is 21st in the NFL. So Tua and Tom Brady's line both were 21st in the NFL for run blocking. And they were both 24th for pass blocking. So which that means is that even though the offensive line was maybe a little better this year, it still was not by much for Tua. He still did not have a great offensive line. He still did not have time. The reason that the ball was getting out was because of Tua getting the ball out of his hands quickly. And I think a lot of the problem that came with the injuries is that since his defense was terrible, because Tom Brady's defense is really good, and, a lot of these guys' defenses, the Green Bay defense is really good, you have to do more in order to stay in the game, or else, the other team's just going to score points on you. So we'll go down the list. Baltimore has 77% run blocking rate, which I'm pretty sure that's number one in the NFL, and then 66% on passing, 6th in the NFL. Lamar Jackson he has a combined total rushing and passing of about 3,000 yards passing, 17 touchdowns, plus the 4, so that's 21 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. 7 interceptions. So with rushing and passing and Tua missing more games, Lamar Jackson has less yards, less touchdowns, and he has a significantly better offensive line and a significantly better running offensive line. Raiders, they are 11th, 72% run blocking. They are 10th with 62% pass blocking. So again, Derek Carr has a significantly better offensive line than Tua Tagovailoa, and his numbers were 3,500 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions. So basically the same yards, less touchdowns, and way more interceptions with a significantly better offensive line. Green Bay, 72% run blocking, which is 8th. 66 pass blocking, which is 5th. So Aaron Rodgers had the 8th and the 5th best pass blocking and run blocking offensive line with receivers. 3,600 yards, 26 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. So with missing 6 games, all these teams have a significantly better offensive line and have produced the same, if not worse, numbers than Tua Tagovailoa. All these people have receivers. Baltimore is the only one that maybe you can say, but they do have Mark Andrews, and they did have a couple of receivers on the outside. So you have weapons. You do. You have multiple running backs. And the thing is with Baltimore is that they're not a passing team. They're a running team. So that's why they don't have significant receivers. And they still do have guys that can create things in the open field. The Raiders, you have Devontae Adams. You have Darren Waller for a little bit. And then you have Josh Jacobs, one of the best running backs in the NFL right now. Green Bay, you have Christian Watson. You have Romeo Doubs. I get it, they were injured, but you still have them on the field for the most of the time. Christian Watson was out for a while, but you saw at the end he had crazy numbers. So you had receivers. You had 2 running backs, a way better offensive line. On to the next thing. So we're going to talk about drops. Romeo Doubs, 5th, which was 3rd in the NFL. Jalen Waddle, 6 drops, tied for 2nd in the NFL with the most drops. Tyreek Hill, 5, with Romeo Doubs, tied for 3rd in the NFL. So both of those receivers were 2nd and 3rd for most drops in the NFL. Missing 10 games, Tua is 10th with 29 big play passes, which means not that they are running after the catch, but big play passes as in tough percentages of getting the completion and also big time yardage. He is 10th with 29. He is 5th in yards per game. Number 1, of course, in QBR, which is it's crazy that we're talking about this. This is number 1 in QBR. He is an alternate into the Pro Bowl. Now, yards after the catch, because I feel like a lot of people want to make this stat that Tua's receivers gave him those yardage. He is not even ranked in the top 20 for yards after the catch. Number 1 is Patrick Mahomes, which means that his receivers were number 1 in getting yards after the catch for Patrick Mahomes. Tua is not even the top 20, which means his receivers were not the reason why he had yards and touchdowns this year. The reason he had yards and touchdowns were because of this next stat. He is number 1 in QBR in between the opponent's 20-yard line, which means he is the most efficient when he gets into the red zone. And another stat is he performs the best with 4 wide receivers, which means it's not Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle that are doing it. He produces with all of his receivers, with a worse offensive line. And honestly, the same running backs that most everybody has. These are the facts, people. The guy everywhere across the board shows. And just the mere fact that he's not even in the top 20 for yards after catch by his receivers, which means that this guy's big plays and passing were the reason why he got that far. And he even had 2 bad games in those 12 games. And he is in the top 10 of all these percentages. I understand that the injury problem is there. I totally get that. And it sucks. It really does suck. And I hope that he can correct that. But the talent, you cannot deny. There are facts everywhere that he is performing at an extremely high level. And to get the consistency and to also get the injury process out of here, which I get is a big question. This guy can be an elite quarterback in the league. If you watch the throws, I would just mind you to just take the time. If you don't watch football, this is the only reason why I can see you can't see this. Watch the games that he is playing in. The throws he is making are so high level. Yes, there are a couple throws that are, off. But it's because he throws the ball in between 3 receivers with so much confidence, because he knows exactly where to be and what to do. I understand that one game the 49ers figured what they were trying to do out. But that also has to do with the play calling and what Mike McDaniel was trying to scheme. They also figured out Mike McDaniel, not Tua. So the options were not there. And then they figured it out in the Green Bay game. Unfortunately, he got concussed. And that is why that turned into that type of game. I don't care what you say. The talent is there. Tua can be an elite quarterback. The injury is the only problem. And that's what we need to look at, because the guy can be an elite quarterback. None of these quarterbacks, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, well, maybe Peyton Manning, but even Peyton Manning started the league with the most interceptions. None of these guys started out as gems. It took them a second, and then once they found their stride, they became elite in the NFL. Not every once in a while do you find an elite quarterback. So trying to throw him away just because he's injury prone, it just shows that people don't really want to move forward. What do you want to have? Sure, Tom Brady won with Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but Patrick Mahomes gets there every single year. Which would you rather have? Would you rather have a Buccaneers team that now is going to get dismantled after this year and probably going to have to wait for top picks because they traded everything away? Or do you want to have a Kansas City that you get to the AFC Championship and the Super Bowl every single year? Or the Bengals? Which would you rather have? Would you rather have a one-time glory, or would you rather have a consistent 10, 15 years of success? Just ask yourself that. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Fins up. Peace. This year.